42 seconds of logos that are not invisible. Comcast. Sure, these are some super cool and stylish opening credits, but they're still just credits. And this movie is already clocking in a little over 2 hours, so why are we wasting time on like this? One thing you must know whenever you see a clock in a movie, it must always advance a minute whenever it is shown. The opening 10 minutes of this movie are a masterclass in suspense. It's one of the most memorable opening sequences in recent memory, and so it deserves a send-off. Person trying to escape quietly sets off a car alarm cliche.
Emily, where are you?
Siblings. Oh, come on. This bottle was in her bag, and the last time we saw her doing anything with that bag is when she took the electric collar off of Zeus. And yes, she hastily zipped the bag back up and could have left an opening for a bottle to go through, but since then we've seen her throw the bag over a wall and run downhill through the woods. If that bottle was going to escape, it would have done so already.
Go.
Mad Men. Also, I just want to know how he knew where to go. Even if he went down to the garage where his car alarm was going off, he would have had to guess where Cecilia ran after that. And he ran through the woods without a flashlight straight to where the car was parked.
Open!
What is happening?
I don't know, Emily. Cecilia obviously called you to pick her up at 4 in the goddamn morning for some reason, and now her boyfriend is beating on your car like a crazy person, and Cecilia was visibly distressed when she got in the car. Maybe drive and ask questions later. I'm so pissed at my girlfriend right now. I hope she left something behind so I can ruin her life with it later. Oh, what's this? 2 weeks later. That's a terrible Sandra Bullock zombie rehab movie with Hugh Grant and Dominic West. Please don't ever put 2 weeks later on anything again.
Can't sleep.
So you know, if you close your eyes and you lie down, that usually helps.
Man, why didn't she ever think of that before? You're a goddamn genius. Spread the word to all the insomniacs. Just lie down and close your eyes.
I asked you not to come over. He's dead.
Why didn't you think maybe calling first might have been a good idea? I'm not saying you should know there's an invisible man out there waiting to follow you wherever you go, but it seems like you could ease your sister into this before making a surprise visit. Elizabeth Moss is awesome in this scene. Cecilia breaks down the emotional and physical abuse from her boyfriend in a way that is very real. There's a mixture of pain, embarrassment, and relief all mixed into the performance, and that's a tough thing to do.
No one knows I'm here.
Well, whoever needed to contact you probably got in touch with the college you went to. They can find you anywhere.
I'm required to read this.
She's not required to listen. Email me a copy, and we will read it. You bet.
This is Elizabeth Moss's movie, and without her performance, this movie doesn't work. But it shouldn't go unnoticed that Harriet Dyer is a rock star in this movie. She says more with a simple facial expression than most actors can with pages and pages of dialogue. So are you gonna ask how the he found you when nobody except your sister knew where you were? No? Okay. Hope you enjoy the random stagnant shots in an Invisible Man movie so we can wait and see if something moves on its own cliche, because this movie doesn't shy away from them. Cooking bacon in a stack! It does make sense that Adrian would initially around and try and drive Cecilia crazy by doing little things like this here and there instead of just full-on attacking her. But turning the stove up and moving the knife around feel very much in the vein of a poltergeist, doing the dumbest before working its way up to full-on murderous chaos. And I don't enjoy that and never will, so...
Don't use water! No.
This fire safety video is brought to you by The Invisible Man and by Pigsley's Bacon. Our motto is, when you cook it, don't stack it. Cool effect and all, but also it's super convenient for the movie that Adrian picked up his Invisible Man stocking in the wintertime. Hard to have creepy perspiration visuals in the summer, because no matter what Freedom Williams tells you, sweat does not make you bleed. However, it is dope enough, indeed. Also, he's not really invisible. He's wearing an invisible suit, and even if that wasn't the case, I'm calling bullshit that he could stand that close to Cecilia without making any kind of noise, especially on a night that quiet. But really, nearly everything this guy does is done too quiet, considering the maneuvering he has to do throughout the movie. Look, as genuinely terrifying as this movie can be, it's still not beneath resorting to some cheap scares and tired tropes, like the random thing in the bedroom that looks like a human when the protagonist wakes up in the middle of the night. I like how smart Cecilia is in this movie, and she's clearly aware early on that something is amiss, but it's kind of odd she goes the invisibility route so quickly. I just feel there are many possibilities that would go through the mind before landing on, oh, he's for sure invisible and trying to kill me. And yes, the blanket incident is about to happen, but nothing like that has happened yet.
So any reason you worked in Paris in particular? Is that where all the beautiful women in the world have to go as a rule?
I know this is the point, but this guy.
I slept in a broom closet, literally.
I started this firm in a supply closet, literally.
There you go.
So we both know the value of closet space.
This guy. Yeah, it's up. The Invisible Man removed her drawings, but seems like she would have checked that before going to her job interview.
He's not dead, Tom.
I have a pile of ashes in the box that would disagree with you, Cecilia.
That's interesting, because I have a bag of dicks in a, well, bag that would disagree with you, or something, asshat.
Only thing more brilliant than inventing something that makes you invisible is not inventing it, but making you think he did.
No, I would say inventing invisible is more brilliant. I mean, yeah, I can see what you're saying, but No.
He's gone, Cecilia.
And I have these murder photos sitting right beside me in case anyone comes in telling me he's turned invisible.
Emily, I don't know what you're talking about.
The email you sent me this morning.
What email?
If that's how you feel about me.
Wait a minute, in this day and age, Emily isn't going to even entertain the idea that Cecilia didn't send her a disgusting email? It's clear by Cecilia's face that she doesn't know what she's talking about, and if she did send such an email, why would she come visit like nothing ever happened? Does that seem like her? I know if someone sent me something entirely out of character, I would immediately call them and ask them about it. But because movie, the sister gets an email and immediately thinks all of it is true without a second thought.
Someone is doing this to me. He's doing this to me.
Adrian?
You see, Cecilia had a choice to tell discount Isla Fisher that she didn't know who was doing this to her, and her story could have been believable. But no, she went the dead boyfriend is doing this route and it all up. Why did she go that route?
I think we could kick Dad out and have a little girls' night.
Because if you're female and upset, then you eat cake or ice cream, right? Girls always be eating cake.
Women be shopping, baby.
I know Cecilia appears to be the only other person in the room, and I know Sydney is just a kid, but considering the distance between the two, I'm actually kind of surprised Sydney doesn't consider the fact there might be an invisible man in here. Also, at this point, especially if she were paranoid delusional, why hasn't she set up cameras yet? Also, once again, am I supposed to believe Adrian or Tom was just sitting in that room with them this whole time? It's impossible to stay that quiet. There's very little sound in that room. At the very least, some of his breathing would be heard. A good way to get James on your side is to pour coffee grains all over his floors, so good call. Good thing that phone was in the attic right above her. What if she had made the phone call from another room in the house? Also, why is the phone even there? It doesn't need to be there for the invisible man plan to work. If anything, it gives her proof that some bullshit is going on and more of a possibility of getting other people to believe her. Question: why was this attic built where it requires you to get a giant stepladder out to access it? Don't these attics usually have a string you can pull with its own ladder, or like every other horror movie, a thing that can pull it down? Another great and clever scare. This movie is really good. We're about to see a ton of paint in the sink in a minute. How did he stop the paint from dripping all the way to the sink? Running sink. Excitement? And wait, did he stick his head in the sink to wash that off? Why didn't he go to a bathroom and turn on the shower? Also, he's got paint on his shoulders and chest. How did he do a thorough cleaning in a kitchen sink? I also highly doubt he could get all of it off, but apparently he does. So, does the suit give him super strength as well? Because I don't think it does.
Hurry.
Yet again, someone who's driving Cecilia somewhere doesn't recognize that she's in distress and very slowly starts driving away. He even puts his car in reverse because, God forbid, you just start driving straight and deviating from what the Google Maps lady tells you. Even if this is the wrong way, Google Maps lady will eventually make it okay.
Stinson Beach. It's a long way from here.
And we're going to show you every second of that drive. Also, way to go, dude, giving her shit about the length of the drive, like you're not a fucking Uber driver who agreed to pick her up. I know someone who's getting a 1-star rating. PCH is completely devoid of any basic instincts. If the driver is waiting for her, then why wouldn't he also drive her closer to the house? Why didn't Zeus show up to the door when Cecilia first came in? Later, we're going to see this dog run immediately as soon as he hears someone walking into the house. Man, as I see an invisible suit come to life right before my very eyes, I wonder, why didn't Tony Stark think of this? So the dog hears someone coming home, and it's definitely the invisible man. But my question is, did Adrian Tom use some other gate to get in? Because the Uber driver is sitting there right now. Or has he been in the house the whole time, and he's been taking a nap or something? I actually have tons of questions about the invisible man's appearance in this scene. Did he show up invisible? Was he visible for a while, but turned invisible when he realized someone else was here? Why doesn't he run into her anywhere before she goes into the bedroom? Well, this works out really well later. One could argue that if she doesn't have to stow this away, nothing works out for her. Way to foreshadow your own plot, see?
And it has cameras, and it somehow... What?
This is another fun, scary moment in this movie, executed brilliantly, so please allow me to hate on it like the hater I am. For the invisible man to execute this particular throat cutting, he either has to make a forehand slash with his right hand or backhand slash with his left hand from the left side of the table in this shot. He then has to lift Cecilia's right hand and in less than a millisecond put the knife in her hand, all in one quick motion. Like he's been practicing this for years. Since he can only be on one side, we should see stuff on the table getting knocked over. Even if somehow there are two invisible men here, this would require coordination that's not possible. Also, I guess the invisible man hopes that there aren't cameras around this place. There never seem to be cameras in this movie when Cecilia needs them.
I see you! I see you!
I have to wonder, how is he actually following her around so easily all the time? He would have to drive to some of these places, and I'm assuming he's not in that suit all the time. So he would have to get in and out of that, which would probably take a few minutes. Then he would have to wait for people to open doors and whatnot, so no one's aware of an invisible man running around. The logistics of this character are mind-boggling. There's zero, and I mean zero chance James would be involved in Cecilia's interrogation.
I shouldn't have walked out on you and left you alone. I failed you.
And you wouldn't have had to clean up the paint and coffee grounds off your floor either, but here we are.
Right now, you're a murderer, but I can change that.
Tom tells Cecilia that if she has the baby, she can go back to Adrian and somehow not go to jail for murder. Sure, this could be one big lie, but the motive for that doesn't make much sense. What kind of case would you possibly make for Cecilia not being the murderer, besides Adrian admitting that he made the invisible suit and confessing that he did it?
There you are.
Wait. I understand that the Invisible Man is obsessed with Cecilia, but he allowed himself to be locked inside her cell overnight? Was he going to sleep on the floor? That bed only has room for one Elizabeth Moss. At this point, wouldn't just running away be the better option? They're going to think she took out the cops at least initially. Having a standoff at this point definitely doesn't help this case. Also, this is either Adrian the tech guy or Tom the lawyer, and neither of them are Superman. How are they so powerful they can knock these guys out with one punch? Man, this glitchy suit sure finds a way to be 100% operational whenever new people show up in the scene. Jesus Christ, what is this, Double Dragon? If you don't advance in time, the game just throws 2 more random enemies at you? Why isn't the whole hospital in this wing by now? Cecilia set off the metal detector with the gun she's carrying, but you're telling me there's nothing in that suit that would set it off when he went through the door right before her? Also, why are these 3 officers still at the front desk? Did they not see any of that weird going down and their friends getting hurt on those CCTVs behind them? Shouldn't they be helping? Okay, where is he? Where is he? Oh, cool. Wait, seriously? That door's just open? Or does the Invisible Man have an invisible key? All the objects he handles in this movie are visible, so I'm wondering if the movie is being inconsistent or if James the cop is being sloppy with the security measures. It's not even an alarm on this place. Sidney must be one with the Force to be able to figure out not only exactly where Invisible Tom is, but the exact place his eyes are for that mace to be effective. And he is wearing a suit head to toe, so maybe it wouldn't even be that effective. This fire extinguisher is symbolic of you burning my bacon earlier in the movie. Now I'm gonna burn your bacon. I mean, I'm gonna make you visible too, so I can shoot you. Sorry, I got carried away. There's no fucking way Tom is still standing after taking that many hits to the chest. Okay, so the cops find Adrian tied up in a basement, but what made them want to search for him in the first place? Did Tom leave a note? Remember, Adrian was found by a housekeeper at a hotel and later declared legally dead. Unless Tom left something behind that made the cops suspicious, why would they search for Adrian? Also, whose cadaver did the housekeeper find at the hotel? How did they go through an autopsy and declare it to be Adrian? I don't know the nature of the death, but wouldn't it have needed to be super gruesome for the medical examiners to just assume it was him?
Looks like he was a victim of his brother, just like you were.
One thing I think back to in this movie is that Tom gave Cecilia an offer to be with Adrian again and somehow not to be charged with murder as long as she had the baby. So if she had accepted, what was Tom and Adrian's plan then? Because Adrian would have had to admit he faked his own death unless he planned on living in seclusion or as an invisible man for the rest of his life.
I know Tom's body is in your living room. Adrian did everything before that, though. He set his own brother up.
I tend to agree with Cecilia here, that Adrian had to have been the mastermind, but I'm not sure about this setting up thing. Adrian would have had to have known that Tom was going to get captured or killed when he went to James's place. If that was the only time Tom ever wore the suit, that is some incredible foresight on Adrian's part. Look, there are probably 2 suits, giving Adrian and Tom a chance to do some scream in this movie, but we never get any kind of confirmation, and Cecilia doesn't even consider that might be a possibility.
I know Tom's body is in your living room.
Still? Hasn't it been at least a half a day at this point?
We have the OCD buffet of sushi, steak, and pasta.
Also known as Shoney's.
I need you to do this for me.
More than that, do it for you, Adrian.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that no one was authorizing a wiretap on a man who was just found to be kidnapped by his murderous brother. So even if Adrian confesses here, I guess James will know the truth, but this would never be allowed in a court of law as evidence with the kind of attorney that Adrian could afford. Damn, I knew Cecilia was strong, but not that strong, to the point where she could pull Adrian's arm against his will like this. Luckily for her, Adrian was already holding a knife.
Thermal goggles, bitch! Mom said share!
You can't share invisibility. Take those off.
Did you know the CinemaSins writers have podcasts? Check out Sincast and Behind the Sins by searching for CinemaSins wherever you listen to podcasts.
Adrian?
Yo, Adrian!
Where are you?
Come on! What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
Bring out the Gimp. I think the Gimp's sleeping. Well, I guess you just have to go wake him up now, won't you?
I mean, James actually is a 6-foot cop, and he's, I think, really intimidated by you.
You had me at hello. Is there anything in the room that is distressing to you?
She wouldn't even harm a fly.
Let's all try to remain calm.
Open it or he'll be dead before he hits the floor.
There's no way, Connor. Let him go.
Just as we thought.
It's the curator, Mr. Wickles.